Wow. So we're talking about tonight how to win at Forza Horizon.
Yeah, how to take on them Entertainment 2.0 guys.
It's only Josh, but he's enough on his own.
I have to say, I tip my hat to Josh. Recording a show on your own is not easy, and he always makes it really easy to listen to.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I can't do it. It's really difficult. It's a difficult task.
It always makes you feel like there's more than one person presenting when Josh does it on its own. It's quite amazing.
Yes. Yeah. No, he does a fantastic job. It's definitely not easy.
Right, that's the link. Tweeted it out. And Richard's in the chat room.
Excellent.
So, Jason and Gary, good evening.
A very good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you.
Yes, we started up with no Skype issues. That's a pretty astounding thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had my Skype issues before I got you on the call, so that's my Skype issue for the weekend.
We've welcomed 2 kittens into our household today, so I've named them Google and Apple. No, I haven't.
that we've called Lumia and Surface.
Yeah, I did think about calling them Windows and Phone, but I thought that was a bit harsh.
Especially because of the phone one, he's going to not get much love. It'll be over the desktop one, won't it?
Yeah.
And you feed them via UWP.
Absolutely.
Universal cat food. Maybe that's what it should be instead. Yeah. So, good evening to you, and good evening to Richard, who's joining in the chat room.
Yeah, I wonder if Richard's written his review of the next doc yet.
He started it. I was talking to him today, and
brilliant.
So I won't give any spoilers, because I let him put that. But yeah, I'm not sure how enamored he is with it. Let's put it that way. So
all the cabling issues and dodgy plug issues, and
yeah, I know Scott Lovegrove had a problem with his, didn't he, with the fact they didn't have some of the connectors that he was expecting.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Rich is putting in the chat. Spoilers. It's a bit rubbish. Yeah. So we'll see what he does when he comes to his review. But yeah, that's a shame, really. But it's almost, I don't know. I've seen a lot of talk about the HP Elite this week. Say could it was the savior of Windows Phone, but it's almost like a solution looking for a problem in some respects with Continuum. It works quite well, but I just haven't got the use case for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does have one big advantage though. The battery doesn't explode. Well, not yet, it doesn't.
Not yet.
But yeah, I think I think the next doc's got quite a challenge on its hands, really, hasn't it? Because it was announced and everyone was obviously wowed by it, as they should be. But I think it was announced just before kind of HP announced their laptop type Continuum device to go with their HP X3, and also I think was it Acer to go with the Liquid Jade Primo also announced her. And so once you start competing with the OEMs that obviously make the phone to go with it, then you need it to be absolutely brilliant. You need it to be, really high quality. And I know one of the things that the NextDoc team said is that they'd gone with certain compromises on the case so that the manufacturer didn't have to change their tooling, which meant they got the devices or the cases made cheaper.
Yeah,
but I think so. Maybe actually it's quite a good companion because you already compromised if you're using a Windows phone, so maybe it's good that you compromise with the next dock. But I shall be interested to read Richard's review in full.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Actually, talking about the Liquid Jade Primo.
I've just seen Richard's comment in the chat room. That's brilliant.
I'm going to read that out. Imagine a MacBook Air made by VTech.
That's brilliant. I want to read this review.
I'm looking forward to reading this. Yeah.
I thought we said no spoilers. But yeah, so looking at the Liquid Jade Primo, it's what is it, £200, isn't it, on the Microsoft site?
Yeah, £199 on the Microsoft store now for that.
That's undercutting the 950, isn't it?
Yeah, quite a bit. And I think it was originally 450, wasn't it, when it first came out?
And we should point out that's the pack as well, isn't it? It's not just the phone.
I don't know. Is it?
I think it isn't.
Yeah, I think
I've heard it both ways. So maybe.
Yeah, I think Windows Central reported it as still including the dock and everything, but then I think was it All About Windows Phone said it didn't.
All right.
Okay. I'm pretty sure when I looked at it, it was just the phone.
Yeah.
Without the dock. I'll
check.
Check.
That's probably where the discount's actually coming from. If they've changed it to be just the phone.
Yeah, that'll be significantly cheaper anyway. So
yes.
It's not such a good deal then in that case.
Yes, it's and it's out of stock now. It wasn't out of stock when I did the post this afternoon. So
it's quite a premium device, though, isn't it? I don't think it's quite up there with the 950, but looking at the specs, it's still. I mean, it's a continuum device, so
it's a low-end continuum device, but it still runs continuum quite nicely. I've had a play with one; it looked really nice.
Yeah,
that's what Acer called the Pocket PC.
Oh yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think also, I mean, the one thing I'll say, I'm really lucky that I banked with NatWest, because NatWest have been great supporters of Windows Phone and Windows 10 Mobile, and they've just updated their app to be continuum compliant. But interesting enough, they didn't decide to launch a desktop version. But the one thing I will say with the NatWest app, and I take this as a positive, they only let you have one active device. Like I say, I think that's quite a good thing, because you don't want, you don't want multiple devices all able to log into your banking through an app. Because the security tends to be just, rather than the full security where it might ask you for 2 different identification forms, it's normally just an extended PIN code. So I'm not sure I'd necessarily want it on my Windows 10 device, but at the same time, it might be quite nice to have the option.
Yeah, and it's good to see them supporting Windows. I mean, we kind of think, well, Windows Phone is a small market share, etc., all the usual stuff. But it means if you can make it as a UWP app and then you can use it on your tablet as well, I think that's a good idea. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, and also just as an interesting comparison. So obviously I mentioned a few weeks ago that my wife's now got an iPhone 7, and she's been using it to watch iPlayer and stuff, and used up all her data, which has never happened before. But today she needed to go somewhere and rang me up asking me to add some data onto her account, because she wanted to use Maps on iOS, and of course it doesn't support offline maps.
Yes.
And that's just something that you just take for granted. I knew she'd run out of data. I knew she needed to go somewhere, but it didn't even occur to me that she would need the data for mapping. So I mean, I'm sure there are third-party apps. I don't know if Copilot on iOS or TomTom on iOS support offline.
Copilot does support offline.
Yeah, but certainly by default, iPhone maps and their navigation, it needs a data connection.
That's a bit of a pain, actually, for that. I mean, when I was on holiday this summer, and I was in the UK, but it was pretty rural. Some places I went, so if you've no data access, just GSM, then you can get really stuck. And that's the great thing about Windows Phone on the Maps app, is you can just say around all the UK and away it goes.
Yeah.
On Android, with Google Maps, you can do offline, but you have to specify regions.
Yeah, and it's really painful as well.
Yeah,
it doesn't really work very well at all.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's why I end up still using Sigic on the Android device, because that gives me the offline maps as well, with the TomTom maps. But breaking news in the box: Acer Liquid J Primo keyboard, mouse, no screen.
Well, keyboard, mouse, So is that a little keyboard?
I'm guessing it's a full size keyboard.
Yeah, and where's that? Sorry,
that's on the Windows, the Microsoft Store. But it's just
right.
If you click through on the link, it actually then goes to in the box.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so when we went to Portugal, it was great. I could just download the maps for Portugal to Windows Phone, and off you went. So particularly, if you're abroad, most. I don't tend to pay for data abroad, because the place we go tend to have Wi-Fi, and and also because I'm on holiday, I kind of want to switch off. So it's quite nice not to have data. But in that situation, obviously with an iPhone 7, you'd want to.
Yeah, and if you do go with a Copilot Live or whatever, they're not cheap apps either, are they? But I think almost if you're going to, if you lived in a rural area or something, you'd have to, really, unless you know exactly where you're going all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Richard said, you're also aware that Wi-Fi assists on iOS, eats mobile data for breakfast if Wi-Fi is weak.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of an issue with with getting your GPS lock if you know Wi-Fi, I guess, and you're trying to use your data.
Well, it's just, I mean, it just basically, as soon as you drop onto one blob of Wi-Fi, it switches to data, and even if you're on Wi-Fi and you still got connection, which is a bit annoying.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is a really good point there, Jason. About in fact, wouldn't it be nice to see the Microsoft Maps app make its way onto other platforms like they have done with their other apps?
Yeah, actually, Here Maps is on iOS, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if that supports offline maps.
Is it called something else now?
Here we go.
Yeah. I'll have to give that a try. Actually, there's another aside. I don't know if you can pick this up on my microphone. Hang on a second. Does that pick up?
Didn't hear anything.
Okay. My Surface Pro 3 is hissing like a snake madly. It does it every week we record. I think it's calmed down slightly now, but yeah, it sounded like a steam train a moment ago. So,
yeah. And I noticed the Surface Pro 4 doesn't have that at all.
Yeah,
side by side. Even under load like video editing, it does hiss a bit, but nowhere near like the Surface Pro 3. But I also noticed the Surface Pro 3 tends to randomly hiss for no apparent reason when it's just the processor that gets any load on it. It starts to hiss on there.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally apart from a few apps I tend to have open all the time, store apps, I've basically got Skype and Edge open. But yeah, it does seem to have calmed itself down now. But yeah, it was getting crazy.
And also, go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say also, but my wife used Tap to Pay on her iPhone 7 the first time of the weekend, and she's completely addicted to it.
Yeah, it's cool. Actually, I've been through it, and now sometimes I end up back using my card to do the Tap to Pay because it's still fine. I still find it a bit fiddly with the phone, but it is pretty cool when you do it. Just tap it, and people look at, whoa, what's that you're doing? Especially with an Android phone, because it doesn't look like the iPhone that's doing it, but it works fine.
Yeah, no, definitely, and also you can look at a history of all your transactions, so it's quite nice. I mean, I still hope one day we'll get to an era where we can do away with these silly paper receipts, and just send me an e-receipt.
Yeah, much better, because you have to try to remember the fact, where's that receipt from 6 months ago for that game I bought? You can never find them.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say also, did you see that the 650 is now £109?
Yes, I saw that on your site. Actually, I didn't see it anywhere else. Yeah, I saw you reporting that.
Yeah, so the 640 is 99. So for the extra £10, you can get the 650. Which is a nice little phone because it comes with Windows 10 already on there, and it's got a slightly more storage than the 640, and so maybe especially if you're looking to do a bit of testing and wanting to just play around with Windows 10 Mobile, not commit too much, then 109 quid gets you quite a nice phone.
Yeah, I think I wonder if we're going to start seeing these price reductions increase, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
Particularly, I mean, I imagine at some point the 950 they're going to want to try shifting stock, and I wondered if that was again why the Liquid Jade Primo had kind of come down in price. I think the one premium handset that stands at the moment is the X3, but that is really business orientated, I think.
And the 950 XL is $339.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider where that came from, that's a massive discount.
Yeah,
and that's with the dock, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, and the 650, the 950 is down at $249 now.
With the dock.
With the dock, yeah. That's not a bad price. Too small for me, that one. That far. So some good bargains to be had if you're willing to, you know what you're getting into if you're buying a Windows phone from Microsoft Store at this stage.
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, I've said it all along. For those people that don't need a massive amount of apps, Windows Phone is still a really viable platform. And actually, sorry, I've got a story about that in a way. So my sister-in-law, so because my wife got her iPhone 7, it meant that the 920 was kind of redundant. And interestingly, at the time, my wife's sister broke her phone, so she offered her my old 920. And she's really enjoying it, and she's probably a really good example that she's gone from really, probably this is maybe her first smartphone, so she's not into massive amounts of apps and stuff, and she thinks it's great. Her son's helped to set it up, pinned her email to her home screen, and all those little things that we love about Windows Phone, and she's really enjoying it. And it just really highlights for me again the fact that if you don't need all the mainstream apps, if you're not into, I know some of these apps exist now, but if you're not into Pinterest and all the others, Instagram, etc., then it is still a viable platform. If you just want it as a phone, email, a way to browse the web, maybe Skype or even WhatsApp's a good experience on Windows Phone. So it's still a really good platform and a really good experience.
It is, and Richard make a good point there in the chat room that once you get onto other platforms, you do realise what you've been missing. And I found that really with Android, you tend to splurge out on all these apps that maybe eventually you go back the other way and get them down to a usable set of apps. But once you get on another platform, you realise all this other stuff's there. But like I said, if you don't, if you're not really into it, I mean, I took up my wife's usage. She uses a Facebook app, she uses a Twitter app occasionally, and she uses her email and the browser, and that's it really. So. All that would be applicable on iOS. On Windows Phone or Windows 10 mobile. Yeah. So, that would be a viable platform.
Yes. Yeah.
In fact, she's getting a bit. Her iPhone 6 has got a weird problem where sometimes if you ring it, it rings and goes to answer phone without actually doing anything on the UI, so you don't know it's rung. And then if you hang up and then ring it again, it rings. So somebody else has said that they've had that problem as well. So I found now if I want to ring my wife, I ring it, hang up, and then ring again, and it's fine. But if you just ring that once, the UI never comes alive. You don't know that it doesn't make no ringtone or vibrate or anything. It's just like you haven't got the call, but it actually does ring the phone. It's really weird. And I actually did a wipe of it, a reset, and it's still doing it. So I don't know whether it's a SIM card or the phone itself, but it seems like a software. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Me and you, I think, had the same problem last week, didn't we? With our keyboards on iPad sticking to the wrong part of the screen.
Yeah, did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I'd literally had that the night before on an iPad Mini. It's really weird.
Yeah. So the screen was up at the top, but you had it off to the right, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, no. Mine was pinned to the top upside down.
Oh, that was like mine. Then someone else had it to the right.
And that screen, I don't know which it is, but I don't know what the iOS name for it is, but it doesn't seem to support rotation.
No,
so once you're on that screen, like the notification screen, or if it's unlocked. Sorry, no, that actually the notification screen does.
It does the only way to fix it is to go all the way 160 degrees, I think.
Yeah, I think it's
I thought it was just a one-off, but it's actually easy to reproduce. You can more or less do it every time, which is a strange thing to see in a production build.
Yeah, actually, it's the search. So when you swipe left to get to the notifications, that does rotate. But as soon as you tap into the search box, it doesn't. If you turn the iPad around, it doesn't rotate.
Yeah, I love that keyboard upside down. It's so funny to see that. I mean, I'm used to seeing it on Insider builds, strange things. But on the iPad, I mean, up until iOS 10, I've not really seen any reproducible bugs. You see the odd issue, but not reproducible as easy as.
It's really unusual for UX bugs to get into any production builds of iPhone. Other things get in, but UX bugs. This is definitely a first.
Yeah, a sign of the times. Changing times we're living in with iOS. People complain about iOS bugs, but they are there now. So talking of being on Insider builds, did you see we had new PC and phone build this week?
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
I actually tried to install the PC build into my VM, but it just won't detect it. It's very strange. So I'm gonna give it another go.
Yeah, I've had other people mention that the VMs don't seem to pick up.
Did you have this a while ago?
I did, yeah. Although normally it clears itself, so it seems to be some automated system must run around 2-3 o'clock British time, so whatever that would be in the States, and then it seems to pick it up. But it picked up, took me to the 3.2.1 cumulative update for the Windows 10 anniversary update, but then it just wouldn't find anything else. And then I shut the VM down and tried again the next day, and it said it was having trouble actually looking for updates, kept failing even trying to look for updates. And I haven't tried again since. So it may be that I need to revert that VM, because that particular Windows 10 VM, I've got it branched. I've actually got one that just does the RTM builds, and another one that's enrolled in the Insider program. So it might be that I need to roll it back and then just re-register.
Yeah, and then you've got to be sort of a bit patient on you sometimes, just to wait while it does that final registration.
Yeah, it's one of the useful things about having Hyper-V on Windows 10, because you can just install a base Windows 10 build and then create a checkpoint and then branch it between Insider builds and Windows Update builds.
Yeah, you've got a bit of flexibility.
Yeah,
and roll it back if you need to.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Now, the new build we had was 14946, which, like I said, was available for PC and mobile. And we do have a new feature.
We do?
We do. There is a new feature in it. I think this only applies to devices with precision touchpads on there.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But so if you go into, I'm just going to do it.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Devices, and there's a, where has it gone now? There's a trackpad option, and then in there you can select what the 3-finger gestures do and 4-finger gestures as well. So you can select what they do. So you can do things like pause, playback, change the volume, anything like that, really. So when you go into the touchpad setting and then you scroll down, you've got all these things. So you can have a 3-finger tap that will do something. So I think I've got mine set for to bring up Action Center. And although I did find this very hit and miss, so the UI is there, but maybe it's not all hooked up underneath. Yeah, so you've got 4-finger settings as well, and then there's also an advanced section where you can do things like what a tap does, and up, down, and whatever. So I've set volume and things like that, task switching, and there's a lot of flexibility in there. I just found it didn't always work, which must be something to do with the underlying sort of code. Is not hooked up somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
So nice little options.
Yeah, I hadn't actually seen that before, but it's quite good, because I've got one of those on one of my machines, so I'll give that a go.
Yeah, so it's on the Surface, so that's where I'd in it. Have we lost Jason?
No, sorry.
No,
no,
just
listening. Just listening.
Yeah.
Just listening intently.
Yeah. So what else did we get changed in there? I think that was the only thing. Oh, there was a couple of other options. They fixed the scrolling. You wouldn't have seen this if you've not tried it. And I didn't include this in the video because I put it down to, I need to reboot this because the scrolling's not working right. You think the touchpad's not working right. But if you were on a web page and you did a quick scroll, just a little bit, it would kind of go 3/4 of the web page down. And it was doing the same in email and other things. I thought, I need to reboot before I start moaning about this. Anyway, it turns out it was a known issue, and they've just and they fixed that with this build as well. They've also changed the Wi-Fi settings. Do you remember the old Windows Phone 8.1 feature where you could turn the Wi-Fi off and it would come back? You could have it to come back on in an hour or 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah. Love that.
I didn't realize it had gone in Windows 10 Mobile, but it had, hadn't it?
Yeah. And it's back.
Yes, and it's back. And it's in the PC as well.
Yes, which is really nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Particularly on laptops, that's really useful.
Yeah, so you can just say turn Wi-Fi off and turn it back on in an hour, which I always found really handy, if especially testing things, but without forgetting and then losing all using all your data up.
Yeah.
So that was in there, and the other thing was there's a separate timeout setting for Continuum, if we're using Continuum as well. So you can have the monitor, basically you can have the phone go off while the Continuum display continues.
Yeah.
And there's the usual bug fixes and things like that. The known issues is fairly small as well. There's still some issues with antivirus like Bitdefender, and I think they mentioned that large Windows Store games like Forza Horizon 3 may fail to launch, and they've also added one, which was that PCs that are capable of connected standby, such as Surface Book and Surface Pro 4, may blue screen while in connected standby. Which is nice that they added that one after everybody's download the build.
Yeah, it's useful if you get that information up front, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, but I didn't. I put it on my Surface Pro 4, so I haven't seen that. So those were all the changes, and I've got the hands-on video for the PC and the mobile version. And for some reason, it seems to be the trend recently is the mobile versions, the views on YouTube are really high compared to the PC version. I don't know why, but
I could say that was minority, but very passionate.
Yes, probably is. Yeah, and I noticed a big, a good amount of traffic on the videos from India as well. So Windows Phone, people a lot interested in Windows Phone there. Holiday Boy in chat room says he finds that multi-finger gestures work best on humans. Yes, I knew someone was going to say
that. Yeah. And joking aside, I mean, I must admit, I use them all the time on Surface Pro 3 for switching between apps, and I like the fact you can, pull down and it minimizes everything, or up, and I think you can even bring up the you can bring up the task switcher and everything. So yeah, I must admit, I use it quite a lot. But what I found really difficult was using it for switching between virtual desktops that I couldn't really get used to at all.
When I was going through the phase of playing with Linux, I used the virtual desktops quite a bit, and I just found with Windows 10 I just don't use it.
Oh right, yeah, so I use it quite a bit.
Yeah, I use it for your SQL stuff, don't you? Really?
Yeah. I kind of have a quick glance for email and maybe Twitter and stuff, and then another screen with everything else on it. So yeah, it's quite.
Yeah, I've found recently, one thing I have found it useful for is demos. When I'm doing my talks, I've actually got different things on different screens ready for each part of the demo, which seems to work quite well. Yeah,
I can understand that. Yeah. So I used to use it, but it's just one of the things I don't really get used to using. Now we'll talk about Microsoft's event, what we might see, because I think this is the last chance we get to record before the event, which is next week. But before I did you see that one of the brands that we quite like here is Lynx, and they've launched a couple of Surface-like devices.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I saw that.
So they've launched two devices. I think there's a 10-inch and a 12-inch one. It's 199 quid, and it's got the little kickstand and everything.
Yeah. And the spec's not actually that bad, is it?
No, I mean it's the usual Atom processor, 2 gig of RAM, 32 gig eMMC storage, which I think is a bit skinny, the 32 gig.
Yeah, I think so. But if you had to think about it, other than that, it's fairly close spec to the Surface 3.
Yes, I suppose it is not far off, is it?
No.
It looked as well. The design looks like you say very early Surface Pro type devices, isn't it?
Yeah, the dark one, bit chunky.
Yeah.
But I think there's a 64 gig version for 239, and if you can go for a 12-inch version with 4 gig of RAM for 349. So yeah, you are talking almost like the Surface 3 prices, and perhaps that highlights the issue we talked about last week, where maybe Microsoft don't need to replace the Surface 3 with anything because OEMs are producing devices now, and like this one looks like an exact clone, detachable keyboard and everything.
Yeah, and I guess that with being Lynx, they're going to be heavily discounted as well. So probably those list prices are going to come down 20-30%.
Yeah, I mean, my son still really likes his Lynx. The only issues he has with it is Windows Update is trying to do an update. I'm not sure if it's the anniversary update it's trying to do. So it wants a bit more. It wants a storage space, and he hasn't got enough space. So we've got to sort of go through disk cleanup and remove some apps and things like that. And he doesn't really have a huge amount installed on there, but it's a bit, a bit frustrating that he can't get the update on. He's got to clear it out, and even the keyboard stopped working for a bit, and we had to do a few reboots to get that working. So it's not. I was going to say it hasn't got the great reliability of a device like the Surface, but Surface Pro 3 owners may argue about that as well.
Yes, no comment.
yeah. So I'm quite impressed. I think nice little devices for a couple £100.
Yeah, it's interesting looking at that cable connector. It does look very similar to the original Surface.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing reminds me of the Surface. I think it reminds me of the original Surface Pro.
Yeah.
Was that the dark coloured one? Or was that the Pro?
Yes.
Yeah,
the Pro 2. Yeah, the Pro and the Pro 2 were the dark coloured ones.
Yeah.
My wife's Pro 2 is still going strong.
Yeah.
Funny, I watched The Flash this weekend, and I was looking at that device to see you were talking about it. And it looks to me like it's a HP or a Dell or something like that. They're using, because there's little icons on the bottom row that I could see. But I get what you're saying about the sort of the Surface-like design, and the fact they were using Surfaces as their tablets as well.
Yes, yeah.
But they did have the rather amusing computers, pseudo-science computer UI on there. Why don't they ever use Windows, these people?
Yeah, I know. It's one thing I like about Mr. Robot that Josh Pollock got me onto, is that the tech is quite close to what I would imagine is it's very Linux command lines, and they don't seem to try and dumb it down for a non-technical audience.
And there must be some licensing issue, because whenever the majority of the time you see a PC, especially in UK programs, it's not Windows, is it? It looks like it's a kind of a cheap knockoff of Windows, and they're often static screens, aren't they? But I don't know why they do that. Whether there's some licensing issues or some copyright issues, or it's easier to control it. But they don't. Even like in the soaps, you see the computer screen, and it's not Windows. It's something Windows-like, but never quite the right thing.
Yes. I think a lot of those screens are probably mocked up, because it's actually really difficult to film computer screens. So I expect most of the computers are turned off when they're actually filming.
Yeah. The one exception to that is going back, Windows Phone. It's just everywhere.
Yes, I noticed that. What was I watching? I don't know. I was watching something recently, and they were all using Windows phones. Even if they got the text message and the unlock sounds of an iPhone, it's still they were still using Windows phones.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the Flash. They were all using Windows phones. So talking of new Surface devices, we've got Microsoft event next Wednesday, isn't it? So we will get a chance to talk about it, actually. So we can talk about that next Tuesday. When we record there. But yeah, Microsoft event next Wednesday. Still no major leaks of anything apart from just the rumours of the all-in-one. That's it.
Yeah, it's unusually quiet, really, on the leak front.
There's been a bit of talk. I think is it the Walking Cat? I think on Twitter, he's made some discoveries about a potential Microsoft Home Hub.
Yes, I did see something like that today. Yeah.
So it's I had no idea, whether or not we'll actually see that, but we think we talked. Was it just last week? I think we were saying that Microsoft needed like a Cortana device for the home.
Exactly,
so it would be interesting to see if that comes. But I still, as much as I like using Cortana for dictating text messages stuff on Android, I still find the whole experience, kind of underwhelming. It's I think the example I posted to Twitter was I asked Cortana, will it rain today, and it just did a web search. So I said, well, I need an umbrella today, and it was like, no, it's not going to rain today. So it still feels like you have to pick certain keywords for it to work properly.
I mean, the whole point of Cortana was it's supposed to be natural language, and it's anything but.
And a good example was I was looking for when I can't remember, when does British summertime end, which is an easy, obvious question. And I think I typed it as when does BST end, and it actually came up when does British summertime end as a search. So it translated that into better English than I'd written it, and then searched on it. Whereas on my Android phone, it just gave me the answer. So yeah, you're right. Sometimes it seems to do a very good job of interpreting what you're saying, and then at the very last step, it then goes and does a search instead of using Cortana for it. I wonder if that's an international or a language and internationalization setting, or issue that maybe if you're on the US version it would work, and it's just because they don't seem to have implemented all the commands on the UK English one.
No, which is a shame really, because it does get to that point where you try and use it a few times and then you just get to the point, oh, it's just easy for me just to type it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when it took me to a search, it was quite annoying that, because it seemed to be like a fairly obvious question. I think I even put when does UK BST time. But like I said, it knew the answer. It took my input and extrapolated that out into a proper question, and then just searched for it. And the phone itself obviously knows when BST ends, because it does it updates automatically. So yeah, a little bit frustrating. So a home hub maybe. I'd be surprised to see Microsoft introduce anything consumery at this stage.
Yeah, I think you're right. But it's interesting. Certainly if things, references and code are appearing in Windows, then it would indicate something is coming. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, something we didn't mention last week is the fact you can actually buy the HoloLens now, can't you? Here in the UK, you can get it, or you can pre-order it.
Yes, yeah, it's I saw quite a few people complaining. Obviously, the whole Brexit thing's still a popular topic over here, and I've seen people complaining about it being, quite expensive. But I think people still think it's aimed at consumers walking in and buying one. It's really not. I would expect people that are interested in buying one are developers, probably with their own kind of, potentially limited companies if they're professional developers, and they'll just buy it and write it off over 3-4 years depreciation. Mm-hmm. So, I think the price, people seem to get quite excited about it, but I really don't think it's an issue, not for its target market.
It's I'm just looking here on the Microsoft Store in the UK. It's £2,719 for the developer or development edition, £4,529 for the commercial suite.
Yeah.
So Gary, when have you got yours ordered?
I haven't. if a client wants something developed, yeah, I'll get one. But no, at the moment, I can certainly see some great potential, but I'm still a bit hung up about the vertical view space on it. I find that every time I go back to it, I still love it, but I still get hung up by that having to move my head up and down all the time.
The narrow sort of
field of view, vertical field of view. Yeah, because the horizontal's fine, but it's that narrow, vertical. But I've certainly seen some amazing stuff being developed for it. There's some really clever stuff out there. But it is very much being geared at that enterprise commercial sphere. Whether we'll ever see a consumer version, I'm not sure. I'd love to have one as a consumer version, but yeah, I think it's maybe a way off yet.
So do you think this really is going back to what we mentioned last week, really about Microsoft trying to produce reference hardware? Do you think we'll see maybe a cheaper consumer version by another OEM? So Acer
would kind of make sense, because they have talked about licensing it. So yeah, I can't see why that wouldn't be a possibility.
Because Richard said, has anybody tried the PS4 VR headset? Which I haven't tried, but where's Microsoft's answer to that? Is there an Xbox headset coming?
Well, they've partnered with other people, haven't they?
Yeah, so you got the Oculus, isn't it, that works with the Xbox, I think. Oh, well, no, it uses the Xbox controller. I don't think it actually works with Xbox games, does it?
Yeah, I think I still wonder whether or not we'll see some kind of consumer type HoloLens. One of the things that's supposed to be coming in the Redstone 2 update is the HoloLens tech built into Windows, and so it's potential that the Xbox might support HoloLens, and I wonder if the consumer device will actually be tethered in that it's just a screen, so all the sensors and everything's still built into the headset, but you do away with the little mini computer.
I was actually coming to that. I think that's actually probably the way it will go.
And then you get OEMs that can make it, just literally plug it in USB-C into Windows. The technology that makes the holograms appear is built in, and it's like, as I say, it's just another view screen. Windows has always supported multiple displays, so why not do it that way and cut out the PC? No battery life issues. as much as people would like to think, I can't imagine as a race we're quite ready yet to walk around the streets with holographic headsets on, or full VR immersive headsets. So I really don't think having it tethered as a commercial product is a problem at all.
No, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, so shift some of the work off to a PC or the Xbox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. If you can, especially, it's perhaps with the PC side of things, it's hard knowing what PC spec you're going to need and all that kind of things. A bit like the Oculus, you've got to have a decent PC. But if the Xbox is the reference spec as well, then that makes it much easier to sell.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I think if they produced that and bundled it in Minecraft, they'd have a winner on their hands.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's still a market, particularly in business, for an untethered full HoloLens headset that is used in, like the examples they use, someone trying to do a remote plumbing job or something and needs some help from someone more experienced, or NASA, or in surgery, things like that. So
I mean, there's some amazing stuff. I've seen some really amazing products. And some really useful stuff, sort of car maintenance and things like that. So that when you take your car for service and it's got an unusual problem, the mechanic can actually talk to the head office and get the real expert to show him what the answer is. So I think there's some really good product possibilities out there.
And I think Donna Sarker was saying, her and her husband were looking at websites for things to buy for their house, and she said literally every 2 minutes, I'm going, why can't I just look at this on HoloLens? You could take a lamp from Next or something and actually see it in your home, kind of thing. That sort of concept just makes sense.
It does, totally.
And for that you need a consumer version.
But I think you're right. Like, if once the technology is in Windows 10, Xbox, then there's absolutely no need for the full-blown consumer unit, which are difficult to manufacture, even though they are fairly standard parts. I mean, yes, you do need some of the tracking gear in there, but you don't need all the processing power.
Yes.
Interested to see. Maybe it'll surprise us in October 26th. I think maybe we'll see a consumer HoloLens. Just it's a shame, because the initial buzz, like when I showed it to my kids, oh my god, I want one of them. But at 2,700, they're not they're not going to get one for Christmas.
I think one of the things about that though is that enterprises, the expectations managed. People in enterprise, you actually understand that you're going to get that narrow field of view. You start showing the real experience to some, and the negative buzz you'd get would be huge.
Yep. There is, from the initial, especially the initial videos and demos that they showed, the expectations were a lot higher than the actual device could deliver.
Yeah.
And maybe by the,
I was going to say, potentially you could build a much bigger field of view if you weren't encumbered with all the PC equipment.
Yep. So maybe a potential consumer one will have a larger field of view, but less on board stuff. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But it's interesting what you say, Jess, about the HoloLens stuff, or the Holo framework being built into Windows, so that other OEMs could produce stuff, because that would definitely be where it would be interesting then. I mean, we've already got Google coming out with their little cheap headsets, and you've got Oculus, and we've got quite a few options now. So it would be nice to see a Windows one that's a low cost one, using the built-in platform.
Maybe it'll plug into the Home Hub.
Maybe it will, yeah. So anyway, we can speculate some more next week before we record that. Interesting to see that. I think in the rumors that Apple are going to have some announcement, maybe the day or a couple of days after as well, with new MacBooks.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, so I'd be interested to see. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. It's probably not going to be as much as it was in previous years, but still, nevertheless, I'm looking forward to that one. There's a couple of app things to finish up with. I've not been able to review that gaming PC laptop because they sent me the wrong power supply.
Oh no! So no Forza Horizon 3 then.
Yeah. So the Predator's sat behind me now. So hopefully,
so no Forza Horizon playoff against Josh then.
No, I'm not going to buy the game until I know I can. I don't know how much charge is left in it. It's probably not enough to download it. I think the Predator's not exactly a 10-hour battery life device.
So the TDL Entertainment 2.0 match off is on hold then.
Oh, there's nothing just to get me running it on the Xbox, of course. Interesting. Richard said about that he's interested in the new MacBook because he's interested for iOS development.
Yeah.
They've not updated those for ages, have they? I think someone was saying
no, they haven't.
2015.
And it's something I'm interested in seeing what they do on that as well. From the point of view, what I get next.
Probably see a nice Thunderbolt 3 port on there.
Yep, that could be quite useful.
Which is what I'd like to see on a new Surface as well. It's a couple of things to finish off. Did you see that Amazon are killing the Kindle app for Windows?
Yes, well, for Windows 8. So I think it's still going to exist for Windows 10, isn't it?
Well, what they're saying, I think they're leaving the Windows Phone version.
Right, yes.
But the Windows 8 one from the store is going. And if you want to read Kindles, I think you've got to actually install a EXE 32, Win32 application now.
I think I think with the Windows Phone Kindle app, to be honest, I think they're putting out its misery. It was terrible.
Was the
most, it was the most basic thing. Whenever my wife ever left her Kindle at home and tried to find the book she was reading on a Windows phone, she just that was not a happy place to be.
No, and they've done this platform a disservice as well, because the one on iOS is actually quite good. It's not brilliant, but it's certainly way better than the Windows one. And but it seems just a bit of a backward step recommending you install a Win32 app. It's like it's Vista or something.
Yeah. Yes. I think. I don't know. It's just a slowly descending spiral of doom, isn't it?
Yeah, but why not just create a nice, clean new UWP app, and all those people with Windows tablets and 2-in-1s, which there's a lot of, can get a nice Amazon experience through the store. I mean, Amazon can afford it. It's not like they're a little tiny company that can't afford the developer resources.
Yeah. Especially when their audiobooks app is absolutely first class.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I can see why Google don't do it, because it's a strategic move to not enhance the Windows platform. But surely Amazon don't. They don't care how you consume their content. They want you to consume it as just consume. Possible,
yeah. yeah.
Consume and spend.
Maybe you're supposed to get Alexa to read it to you.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe we'll see it at the Windows event.
Yeah. Actually, so we were talking about natural language, and you never know if this stuff is staged, but on Mr. Robot, there's a female FBI character, she asked Alexa, when will the world end? and it actually answered.
So it knows. Oh, that's very good.
I do like Alexa's ability to play songs based on the lyrics. That strikes me as a really good use of AI.
I haven't seen that.
So you sort of say, what I can't try to say really good. Play me a song which begins ka-chink, ka-chink, ka-chink. No, I wouldn't get that one. I'm sure Ian would. But you can actually sort of say, play me a song which has these lyrics in. Warning lights are flashing down on quality control or something like that, and it would actually then fire up dire straits. And I think that's really quite clever. That's a very good use of technology.
Yeah,
I particularly like the fact it plays you an excerpt and says this is the right one. if it's more than one song with the same lyrics in.
I think they're an interesting devices, and I think. I was thinking of getting one, and then, as Richard said, there's sort of a limited use case for them, I think, at the moment. And it's using it as a speaker. Now, because I've got a Sonos, I don't really feel the need for it. But I think they're getting close to where I would use one. And certainly, if Microsoft brought one out with Cortana and it did things, it was work with apps and things like that, then I think I'd be interested in something like that.
Yeah.
built-in Groove or something like that. Yeah, why not?
Yep. Well, almost certainly that would be if they did do one.
Yeah, which, like I said before, I'm just surprised that if they do anything new consumer, they seem to be more business focused at the moment. But you never know with Microsoft; they do used to have these phases, don't they? They go one way or the other.
Yep.
Now, an example of a Win32 app that you can get in the Windows Store is Kodi, and they've just released beta 3 of version 17 to the Windows Store. So, I think was it a Project Centennial conversion then?
I'm not sure.
I think it is. I think that's the one, isn't it? That's
I think I think it would have to be. Because it is the 32-bit app, isn't it? Just converted.
It is, yeah. And I think they've got a nice little blog post on how they did it as well. So I think I included that on the post a couple of times.
Yeah. So yeah, it would be Centennial.
And it's only, I would say, a week difference between the version, maybe just over a week between the version that was released on the website as well. So they're maintaining that. So it's good to see. Maybe Kodi could teach Amazon a thing or two about downloading EXEs, and maybe they could get the Kindle app in there.
Well, I think Amazon have got their own cross-platform product anyway, so it doesn't totally make sense to me. But never mind.
Yeah. Interesting. Richard said that he wouldn't trust anything for Microsoft consumer tech now. They drop things too fast. Band, phone, media center. Yeah, home server. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I said last week that's my row with HP. They also have a history of dropping Windows tech. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem, isn't it? And then when it comes back to it, you can rely on sort of it for PCs and laptops, but when it comes to anything outside that sphere, that you're on dubious ground, and unfortunately for Microsoft, that it's this other stuff that's taking over, and the PC is less. I mean, Microsoft, did a good job on the business side of things, Azure and all that kind of stuff. But so for the consumer side, PCs are becoming less and less, and that their market is potentially shrinking that way. Although I guess if you look at our Apple are now, I mean, the iPad sales aren't exactly going gangbusters anymore either.
No.
So I think that's all the stories I had for this week. So I expect we'll get a new build again this week. I think no build today, as we're recording on Tuesday evening, but I suspect we'll get another build maybe Thursday. Thursday seems to be
Thursday seems to be build day these days, doesn't it? Yeah.
Apart from the week before when it was a Friday.
Well, you've had occasional one which lapses into Friday when they find a few issues.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe we'll have some new builds. Still not a lot of new features to play with, but they're getting there. I'm looking forward to see if we can start to get some real interesting stuff maybe announced at the event next week as well. Then we'll start to see that in future builds.
Yep, I think we will, but I'm not sure what we'll see. But I think we'll see something.
Yeah, well, we'll talk.
There's a multitude of sins, doesn't it? I've really covered myself there.
Yeah, thanks for being so. We'll hold you to that. We'll see something. Yes, we definitely will. Yeah, a couple of stories going around that there may be even some kind of third-party ban type thing coming on its way.
Surprised me at all.
Yeah, so maybe that's why the Microsoft Health app was renamed to Band, and there'll be a different app because of this, but it'll still be using Microsoft's Health platform.
Yeah.
Would be interesting to see. And I've been doing some side-by-side comparisons with using the walking app on Microsoft Band and on the Moto 360 Sport, and the Microsoft Band is way more accurate on steps and distance. And they're both using GPS as well. Just the mileage and everything was much more accurate. So when the Band eventually does disappear, I think I'm going to miss that. I think sleep tracking, running, walking, that kind of thing. I think it's very it's very accurate. In fact, did you see some screenshots or some leaks of what the potential of the Band 3 would have been? Even had swimming tracking and things.
Yeah. I think it's disappointing, isn't it, when these things come out and you think, oh, what a great device it would have been. But I do think in some ways it was probably a right decision to make.
Yeah.
If OEMs take up, then I hope so. Yeah. But,
Well, as we discussed last week, I think there were a lot of good reasons.
Yeah, definitely. I like the Microsoft band. I have a soft spot for that, and I would have liked to see a third generation one, especially if it supported other stuff like swimming as well. And blood pressure, one of the rumors was, but although I think a few people have said that's quite difficult to do with an optical sensor.
Accurately, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll be back next week, next Tuesday evening, and we'll do speculation on what we'll see, and then listeners can listen to the show after we've recorded and see how right or wrong we were.
Yes.
So you can find us on the on our YouTube channel on thedigitalifestyle.com. I'm at ISTix on Twitter. Jason, where can we find you?
You can find me at Database Jace and waiting for the reveal of the teaser trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2.
I saw you getting excited about that.
Yes, yeah, I can't wait for that. One of my favourite games of all time.
Yeah, that meant nothing. I just passed me by totally. I think I've never played.
If you love westerns, it is just. I mean, Grand Theft Auto. Whether or not you agree with the principles behind that game, it's the engine that drives it. Is obviously it is a living, breathing town almost, and just what they did with. And took that engine and applied it to cowboys and whatnot and the old Wild West. It's just an amazing adventure. I encourage anyone to play it, even if you just want to play through the story mode. It's amazing, and it's backwards compatible, and it's quite often on sale. I think last week it was on sale for like £5 or something for digital copies. So yeah, please get it, play it. It's brilliant.
And Gary, where can we find you?
Gary with 2 R's, WMA on Twitter and at Fascinating Tech. And just a shout out, we've still got one prize pack left from last issue. So if anybody wants to win a very amazing prize pack of about 300 quid's worth, enter the competition from last issue.
Yeah, excellent stuff. And just a couple of comments to round up from the chat room. Holiday Boy saying that I think he says, I think when I upgrade my 950 XL, I may have to look for a non-Windows device unless a miracle occurs in the next 6 to 12 months, which is a shame because I know Holiday Boy is a Microsoft fan and would prefer to have a really nice Microsoft solution. But yeah, it doesn't look like that's the case. And Richard says he vowed never to own another Apple device after the iPhone 3G, but he's impressed by the iPhone 6 and was considering a Samsung device. And he said the most interesting feature for the Band 3 would have been blood pressure. Now your microphone's going again, Gary. It always goes at this time of night every week. But so anyway, so we'll leave it there. We'll be back next week.
I think I'm time limited.
You are time limited. Yeah, that's the system telling you it's time to go do something else. So until next week, we'll see you then.
Take care. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye.